Welcome to the Straight to Jail podcast, written and produced by Brian Herring.
Chapter 17.
Into the Lion's Den. The sound of the ticking clock haunted the room as 2:30 a.m. crept closer. Johnny, Kyle, and Tony suited up, their movements quiet and deliberate. Johnny double-checked his weapons. A Glock strapped to his chest, a knife tucked into his boot, and spare mags snug in his belt. Tony did the same, while Kyle loaded his revolver with the kind of confidence that only a man who thought he was invincible could manage. Kyle flicked a cigarette into his mouth and grinned around it as he lit up.
If I can survive getting gutted like a fish, what's a little penthouse raid, huh?
Johnny shot him a glare.
Are you planning on chain smoking through this whole thing?
It's part of my process.
Kyle said, exhaling a thick cloud of smoke.
Helps me focus.
Tony scoffed, shoving a suppressor onto his pistol.
The only thing it helps is giving us lung cancer while we're still alive to enjoy it. Put that shit out.
You're just jealous I've got a coping mechanism.
Kyle fired back, smirking. He blew a slow stream of smoke toward Tony, who swatted at the air like he was fending off a swarm of mosquitoes.
I swear to God, if we get caught because your nicotine addiction gave us away, I'm leaving your ass behind.
Johnny cut them both off, his voice sharp.
Focus, men. Stick to the plan. No screw-ups tonight.
Kyle mock saluted.
Aye, aye, Captain.
The city was eerily quiet as Johnny drove them toward the high-rise, the streets empty except for the occasional shadow of a cab or a lonely pedestrian. The building loomed ahead, a monolith of steel and glass, its upper floors glowing faintly against the night sky. Johnny parked in an alley a block away, killing the engine. The trio sat in silence for a moment, staring up at the tower. It looked impenetrable. A fortress sitting above the city like a throne.
Looks cozy. Think Ramirez has got a hot tub up there?
Focus.
Johnny said, ignoring him. He handed Tony a small comm unit and turned to Kyle.
Are you two ready?
Tony checked his gun and grinned.
Ready to make some noise.
Then Kyle cracked his knuckles.
Let's do this. I'm too pretty to die anyway.
Johnny shook his head and climbed out of the car, leading them down a narrow alley toward the underground garage entrance. The soft hum of fluorescent lights buzzed above them as they approached the service door. Johnny knelt down, pulling a small device from his bag and connecting it to the security panel. The red light on the keypad flickered before turning green.
We're in,
he whispered, pushing the door open. The garage was quiet, but the echo of their footsteps carried through the cavernous space. 2 guards stood by the service elevator, rifles slung across their backs, idly chatting. Johnny signaled for Kyle and Tony to spread out. Kyle crouched behind a support beam, watching the guards with a cocky smirk. He tapped his cigarette out on the concrete and muttered under his breath.
It's showtime.
Tony slipped around the far side, moving silently. Johnny took position behind a stack of crates, his Glock steady in his hands. Johnny nodded, and in unison they moved. Tony grabbed the nearest guard from behind, slamming him into the wall with enough force to knock him out cold. The second guard spun, fumbling for his weapon, but Kyle was already there, clocking him across the jaw with the butt of his revolver. The man crumpled to the ground. Kyle stood over him, exhaling a puff of smoke.
Nighty-night, asshole.
You really can't go 5 minutes without a smoke, can you?
Tony whispered, shaking his head.
It's my lucky charm.
Kyle replied with a grin. Johnny ignored their banter, pulling the guards' bodies behind the crates. He motioned for them to follow as he called the service elevator. The doors opened with a soft chime and they stepped inside. The ride up was slow, the hum of the elevator unnerving in its quiet. Kyle leaned against the wall, still holding his cigarette like they were going for a joyride.
You're really bringing that upstairs?
Johnny asked, his tone a sharp whisper.
What? You think Ramirez has a no-smoking sign?
Kyle shot back.
It's fine. I'll put it out when shit starts popping off.
Tony stared at him, incredulous.
If we make it out of this alive, I'm taking you to a damn therapist, man. You're unhinged.
You love it.
Kyle said, blowing out one last puff before stubbing the cigarette on the elevator wall. The doors opened with a soft ding. The penthouse was silent, luxurious in a way that screamed money and power. The floor was marble, reflecting the faint glow of the city lights streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. A sleek bar sat in one corner, and modern art hung on the walls, expensive and soulless. Johnny motioned for them to move. They spread out, weapons drawn, as they crept through the penthouse. The faint sound of voices echoed from a room at the far end of the hallway.
Sounds like Ramirez is home.
Tony said low through their comms. Johnny nodded.
Please remember to take him alive.
They approached the door, its polished wood a stark contrast to the steel tension in the air. Johnny took point, signaling for Kyle to cover the rear. He gripped the doorknob, then pushed it open in one swift motion.
Stick to the plan.
Inside, a group of Ramirez's men sat around a table, laughing and drinking. At the head of the table sat Tomas Ramirez, himself slicked back hair, a tailored suit, and an expression that turned cold the moment he saw them.
What the hell?
Before Ramirez could finish, Johnny fired a warning shot into the ceiling. The room erupted into chaos. Ramirez's men scrambled for weapons, but Kyle and Tony were faster. Tony dropped 2 of them with precise shots to the legs, while Kyle dove over the table, tackling another to the ground. Ramirez bolted for the panic room door at the back of the suite, his hand reaching for the biometric scanner. Johnny sprinted after him, grabbing him by the collar and slamming him into the wall.
Where do you think you're going?
Johnny growled, pressing his gun to Ramirez's temple. Ramirez froze, his eyes darting to the scanner.
You're making a mistake, cop. You don't know who you're dealing with.
Oh, yes, I do.
Johnny said coldly.
You're the guy who's gonna tell me everything.
Behind them, Tony cuffed one of Ramirez's goons, grinning.
Man, I love it when a plan comes together.
Kyle sat on top of his opponent, lighting up another cigarette.
Told you guys, Lucky Charms. Can't lose. They're tragically malicious.
Johnny tightened his grip on Ramirez's collar.
Tell us about your operation. The money, the names, the dirt. All of it.
Ramirez responded with a sneer.
And what makes you think I'll talk?
Johnny smirked a bit.
Because you don't want to find out what happens if you don't.
The room went silent, the weight of their victory settling in, but Johnny knew it wasn't over yet. They had Ramirez in their grip, but the real fight was just getting started. The penthouse might have been locked down, but out there, the rest of Ramirez's empire was still alive and kicking. And Johnny could already feel the storm coming their way.